Hey, Tony, is everything okay over there? Hey, my fellas, just practicing my air drums for my girlfriend Erica's air band. An air band? So you don't even play any, I don't know, music? Well, you see, money's a little tight at the moment. I'm a little strapped for cash, so I can't exactly go out and buy a drum set. You know, Tony, there is a viable solution to your problem. Maybe you're in a similar boat as Tony. Maybe you would love to play a certain instrument, but you just don't quite have the moolah to do it. The good news is that there are alternative solutions, creative solutions to get around that money gap. We're going to introduce you to one of those possible solutions today. We're going to take a look at some bucket drumming. Let's get going.
Welcome to the music room. Welcome to the music room. Welcome to the music room. Ready, set, here we go. Welcome to the music room. Welcome to the music room. Welcome to the music room. Ready, set, here we go.
What exactly is bucket drumming? Bucket drumming, also known as street drumming, is a style of percussion that uses everyday objects, such as this 5-gallon bucket, in order to produce rhythms and grooves. Now, you'll often find bucket drumming occur in large urban areas, large cities such as New York City or Chicago. Street drummers will set up somewhere on the streets, and they'll set something out for people to give donations as they pass by and listen to the music. The people who perform out on the streets are known as buskers, and believe it or not, you actually have to have a busking license in order to legally perform on the streets of large cities. A busker who is performing bucket drumming might sound a little bit like this. Why do you think someone would choose to do bucket drumming instead of playing, say, a traditional drum set? Take a moment to think about it. Bucket drumming is a great alternative to a drum set because it is a lot less expensive. This 5-gallon bucket, for example, cost me maybe about $5, and the drumsticks aren't any more expensive than that. You can buy a bucket drum and drumsticks for a lot less money than a drum set. The other great thing about bucket drumming is it's a lot more portable. If you want to carry around an entire drum set, you've got a lot of different cases that you have to pack away with different drums, the bass drum, the snare drum, the toms, the cymbals. Meanwhile, with bucket drumming, it's great because oftentimes bucket drummers will stack their buckets on top of each other, or they'll carry other instruments inside of a 5-gallon bucket, and that makes it really easy for you to carry it around. For your bucket drumming experience, you're going to need a few items. Number one, you kind of need a bucket. Now, you might have a 5-gallon bucket like this one that I've got somewhere around your house. If you do, that is great. You can go ahead and grab it, and you can use that as your bucket drum for today. But I'm sure there are quite a few of you who probably do not have a 5-gallon bucket ready to go at home. If that's the case, you have to be a little more creative. And the great news about bucket drumming is it's all about creativity. Look around your home for something that you could use in lieu of a bucket drum instead of a 5-gallon bucket. For example, I've got a smaller blue bucket here. This would actually work pretty well. It may not make the exact same sounds as the 5-gallon bucket, but it will work for our purposes today. Maybe you don't have any buckets at home. If that's the case, take a look around for maybe a pot or a pan that you might be able to use instead. Anything that you can flip upside down and strike would be a great substitute for a 5-gallon bucket. Now you also need drumsticks, and I'm sure many of you probably do not have drumsticks at home. Once again, you've got to think a little bit creatively. What could you use in place of drumsticks? Take a moment to think about it. You might have some long wooden spoons, like kitchen spoons, that you could use. Flipping them upside down would be a great option to replace your drumsticks. You could also use something like pencils, or you should have a couple of wooden sticks, corn dog sticks that I gave you with your music kit at the beginning of the year. Those would also work as a good substitute for your drumsticks. If you've got both of those, you're about ready to go. Now, one other thing that you may want to grab for your drumming experience today is some sort of pad to dampen the sound. Bucket drums are very, very loud, and it can be a little annoying to your parents, especially if they are trying to get work done at the same time. You might want something that's going to dampen the sound so that it's not as loud. I am actually using a cut-up yoga mat. I cut it into a round circle that fit the shape of my 5-gallon bucket, and that's what I'm using as my pad. But I'm sure a lot of you probably don't have an old yoga mat to use. So once again, think about what you could use to replace a yoga mat pad. A lot of students like to use a dish towel or a bath towel, and they'll set that over the bucket drum or the drum that they're using, and that's a great way to dampen the sound, to make it a little bit softer so that it's not as loud. If you've got all of those ready to go, we are about ready to start playing. Now you're all geared up and you're ready to go. You're ready to play. But before we get really into bucket drumming, we need to quickly talk about how to hold your drumsticks or whatever you're using as your drumsticks. Because we always want to make sure that we are performing drumming with good technique. This is especially important for those of you who may want to play a drum set later on in life. You want to make sure that you start with good technique now so that it makes it easier for you to switch over to percussion or drum set later on. Now, I want you to take your drumstick or whatever you're using in place of it, and I want you to pinch between your thumb and what I call the first knuckle of your pointer finger, right there. Now you notice I'm not holding my drumstick directly in the center. I'm also not holding it all the way at the end either. I'm pinching about a third of the way from the end. Now, depending on what you're using as your drumstick, you're going to have a different fulcrum, a different point of balance. For my drumsticks, my point of balance is right about here. If I'm pinching between my thumb and that first knuckle of my pointer finger, I get this nice kind of wobble effect when I'm wiggling my fingers about. That is exactly what we want with our drumsticks, because we want our drumsticks to bounce off the drum, to rebound. Having that fulcrum is going to be very helpful. So take a moment with whatever you're using as your drumsticks and see if you can find that fulcrum, that point of balance. Once you've found that fulcrum, that point of balance, you're pinching right there. The rest of your fingers are going to gently wrap around the rest of the drumstick. Now, I said gently for a reason. We do not want to hold on to the drumsticks too tight. A lot of kids want to grip on with that grip of death that you've got, but we want it to be gentle because once again, we want those drumsticks to bounce. And if you're holding on way too tight, the drumsticks are not going to bounce off the drum. We want a gentle grip, firm but gentle, so that way they bounce nice and easily. That is the correct way to hold the drumsticks. Now, finally, we want to make sure we're creating the right shape with our drumsticks. I want you to make kind of a point just like that. And you can then hover your drumsticks over whatever you're using as your bucket drum. If you're holding the drumsticks correctly, the back of your hand should face up towards the ceiling. Once you've got that position down, we are ready to play. We're going to start by doing a little echo patterns. I will play first. I want you to repeat the pattern back to me. Make sure that you're holding that drumsticks the way that I just showed you, making that point, back of your hand pointing up towards the ceiling. You're going to repeat right after me. 1, 2, here I go. Ta, ta, ti, ti, ta.
Ta, ta, ti, ti, ta.
Ti, ti, ta, ti, ti, ta.
Ti, ti, ta, ti, ti, ta.
Ti, 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 ta, ta.
Ti, 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 ta, ta.
Ta, ti, ti, ta, ta.
Ta, ti, ti, ta, ta.
Ti, 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 ta.
Ti, 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 ta.
Ta, sh, ti, ti, ta.
Ta, sh, ti, ti, ta.
Ti, 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 sh, ta.
Ti, 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 sh, ta.
Ta, ti, ti, tika, tika, ta.
Ta, ti, ti, tika, tika, ta.
Tika, tika, ta, tika, tika, ta.
Tika, tika, ta, tika, tika, ta.
Ti, 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 tika, tika, ta.
Ti, 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 tika, tika, ta.
Tika, tika, ti, ti, tika, tika, ta.
Tika, tika, ti, ti, tika,
One
tika,
more.
ta.
Tika, 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 ta.
Tika, 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 ta.
Excellent. Rock on. We are going to be learning 4 different exercises today that are going to help us practice the concept of sticking. What is sticking, you may be asking? Sticking refers to the order that we play our drumsticks, referring to both our right hand and our left hand. Now take a look at exercise 1 that I've put up over here. You'll notice that we are going to be playing exercise 1 with all quarter notes, all tas, which get 1 sound and 1 beat. Now take a look underneath the rhythms. You'll notice a couple of letters, R and L. Those refer to your hands, right and left. R for right, L for left. We're going to be playing exercise 1. When you see a quarter note with the R underneath, you're going to play with your right stick. However, when you see a quarter note with an L underneath, you're going to play with your left stick. You're also going to notice at the end of exercise 1, we've got this symbol that is called a repeat sign. That means you're going to go back to the beginning. Once you get to the end of this rhythm, you go back to the beginning and you start it over again. Let's give it a try all together. We're going to start with that right hand. And 1, 2, here we go. Right, left, right, left. You get the idea. Now keep in mind, because you are watching a video, this is my right hand. Are you going to be mirroring me? No. A lot of kids get very confused about this. This is my right hand. Your right hand is going to be over here. So you should not be mirroring me while we are doing these exercises. We're going to try exercise 1 now, and we're going to try it with some music, keeping that steady beat in mind. Right for 8 beats, then left for 8 beats. Let's give it a shot. 1, 2, here we go. Let's go ahead and take a look at exercise 2. Tell me, what is the difference between exercise 1 and exercise 2? The only thing that has changed here is the sticking. Now, we're going to be playing with our right hand for 4 tas, for 4 quarter notes. Then we're going to switch to our left hand for 4 quarter notes. Then back to right, then back to left. 4 beats for each hand, switching back and forth. Keep in mind, we still have that repeat sign, which means as soon as we get to the end, we go all the way back to the beginning. We start it all over again. Let's try it one time without music, and then we'll try it with music. 1, 2, here we go. Right, left, right, left. Let's go ahead and put that with the music. 1, 2, here we go. We're moving right along to exercise 3. Take a look at the rhythm. The rhythm is exactly the same. It's still all quarter notes, all tas, but this time we are switching back and forth between every single beat. Right, left, right, left. This type of sticking is the most common in drumming. Switching every single beat. Right hand is going to be on beats 1 and 3. Left hand is going to be on beats 2 and 4. Let's practice it one time without music. And again, there is a repeat sign, so we're going to go back to the beginning and repeat it all over again. 1, 2, here we go. Repeat. Easy enough, so let's go ahead and put it with the music. 1, 2, here we go. Check your stick grip. Are you holding the sticks the right way? And now it's time for exercise 4. Take a very close look at the rhythm. Now be careful, we now have 2 eighth notes, a TT in there, and that is going to change the sticking quite a bit. Now instead of switching back and forth between every single beat, it's now going to be right, right, left, right, left, right, right, left, right, left. You might want to practice that sticking pattern slowly. You could do it on the drum or in the air like I just did to get it in your head, get it in your muscles, that muscle memory kicking into gear. Right, right, left, right, left, right, right, left, right, left, right, right, left, right, left. Let's try putting that on the bucket drum. And again, a repeat sign. So we go back to the beginning after we get to the end. 1, 2, here we go. Right, right, left, right, left. Right, right, more practice with this one, since it is more difficult than the others, rewind the video, practice it a few more times, but if you're feeling up to it, we can try it with the music. 1, 2, here we go. Right, right, left, right, left. In a moment, we're going to practice reading some rhythms while performing on the bucket drums. But before we do that, I want to talk about why we switch our hands between rhythms. Why do we alternate our sticks, as I like to say? Alternating your sticks is important, especially as we progress with bucket drumming, because when we get to really complex rhythms that are either really fast or really intricate, if we try to play it all on one hand, it becomes really challenging. For example, take a listen to this. Ta, ti, ti, tika, tika, ta. Now I was able to play it okay, but you saw that the tika, tika, those 16th notes were a little bit harder for me to play. If I switch or alternate between my sticks though, it makes the rhythm much easier for me to play. Ta, ti, ti, tika, tika, ta. In fact, I could play it much faster by using both hands. Ta, ti, ti, tika, tika, ta. You get the idea. We want to make sure that we always practice alternating our sticks, using good stickings while we perform with the bucket drums. Now let's get to today's play along. You're going to see rhythms appear on the screen. Now I'm going to give you two options. Option 1, I play the rhythm first and you repeat it back to me. Option 2, you play the rhythm both times with me. It makes it a little bit more tricky because you don't get to hear the rhythm first. You have to play it as soon as you see it, and that can make it a lot more challenging. Now you're also going to see a part of the video where it says to improvise. Do you know what it means to improvise in music? You might have heard the term improvise, which means to make do with what you've got, to make something up. And that's exactly what we are going to do when we improvise in music. We're going to make up our own rhythms. Now, during the improvise section, I want you to keep it simple. I often get kids who try to do really fancy things on their drums when it comes time to improvise, but for now, keep it simple, because if you keep it simple, it will still sound musical. Meanwhile, if you try to do too much during the improvise section, it sounds more like noise than actual music. So when you get to improvise, make sure that you are keeping it simple. Let's go ahead and try the play along all together. spent the bulk of today's episode practicing on the center of our bucket drums. Now, while that's all well and good for practicing the fundamentals of bucket drumming, it's not really the draw of street drumming, is it? The real reason why so many of you are interested in bucket drumming or street drumming is the different sounds you can produce, the grooves that you can create, a lot like a drum set. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at some of the different sounds we can create on a bucket drum. I want you to take 1 minute. You're going to pause the video and I want you to explore the different sounds that you can create on your bucket. Taking your sticks, striking different areas of your drum, see if you can produce a few different sounds by hitting it in different places. Go ahead and pause it right now. Now that you've had a chance to explore your bucket drum, let's talk about the different sounds you were able to create. We already know about the center of the drum because that's what we've been playing for the majority of this episode. It produced kind of a deep sound, a lot like a bass drum on a drum set. But where is a different place that you hit your bucket to produce a different sound? I'm sure quite a few of you tried hitting the side of your drum, and that produces a much different sound. Take a listen. A much different sound by hitting it on the side. Anywhere else that you hit your bucket drum to produce a different sound? Some of you might have tried hitting your bucket on what I call the rim of the bucket. Now, it's not the center. Don't get it confused with the center. It's right on the edge of the center of the drum. You have this hard piece of plastic. If you strike with the edge of your stick on the rim, you're going to get a different sound. Just like that. Now there's one other place that a lot of kids forget to test out, but it's actually very simple. Your sticks, clicking your sticks together is going to produce yet a different sound. There's one last thing that I want you to try with your bucket drum right now. I want you to tilt your drum, and if you need to, I want you to stick your foot underneath the open end of the drum. If you do it the right way, your drum is going to tip like that. Now take your drumsticks and strike the center of the drum again and listen to the sound. I love how deep that sounds. Let's compare it to when it's flat on the floor. If I tip it over. So if you want a little bit of a deeper and a bigger sound with your bucket drum, tilting it on its end so that part of it is off the ground is a great way to change that sound. We're going to use a couple of the different sounds that we've learned on the bucket drums. We're going to add it to exercise 3 and 4 that we practiced earlier today with stickings. Let's give it a try. If you practiced exercise 3 and 4 with the right stickings, it's going to make these final exercises a little bit easier. We're going to take exercise 3 and 4 again, but this time we're going to change the sounds to produce a very simple groove. Now, I'm going to choose my own sounds. If you want to do your own sounds instead and not do what I do exactly, that's okay. But what I'm going to do for exercise 3, I'm going to play all of my right stickings in the center of the drum, and I'm also going to tilt it to produce that deeper sound. For my left stick, however, I'm going to play on the side of my drum. If I do this correctly, exercise 3 is going to sound a little bit like this. 1, 2, here we go. Right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left. Repeat. You get the idea. Let's go ahead and try exercise 3 with the music and the different sounds. 1, 2, here we go. switch to exercise 4. Now, if you want to stick with the same sounds that you were doing with exercise 3, you are perfectly welcome to do that. But if you want to switch things up and try some different sounds, you can do that as well. Keep in mind, your right hand is going to play the same sound, and your left hand is going to play a different sound. For example, I think for exercise 4, I'm going to play my right sticks with my center of the drum, and with my left stick, I think I'll play the rim on the edge of the drum. Let's try exercise 4 without the music first. 1, 2, here we go. Right, 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 right. Repeat. If you like the way that groove sounds, you can try putting it along with the music. 1, 2, here we go.
So long, farewell to you, my friends. Goodbye for now, until we meet again. I said so long, farewell to you, my friends. Goodbye for now, until we meet again. It's been great to play and sing together, but now it's time to say goodbye. So long, farewell to you, my friends. Goodbye for now, until we meet again. I said goodbye.